what's the story in Buffalo this whole week? We go from, Von Miller's out. We all saw that on Thanksgiving. We immediately thought, oh, that looks like an ACL. Worst case scenario. We all mentally prepared ourselves for that news. And then, it starts coming out. Von Miller on his podcast saying like, "Oh, I'm going to be back by the Jets." Like maybe not the Jets, but worst case scenario Dolphins. I'm going to be back. And then just kind of some reports coming out confirming that, it looks like a meniscus tear. Might be able to play with a brace, might need a surgery, could still return this season. We see Brandon Beane put Von Miller on the IR. And he's like, hey, we're just going to give him the 4 weeks to rest. Should be all healed up by then, ready for a playoff run. Dope. We all got super excited for that. And as they go in to work on the meniscus, they find an ACL tear. And Von Miller's not only done for this year, but we're going to miss him for a good portion of next year too. So the story immediately becomes, what does our defensive line look like without him? Obviously, this is a team that, made it to the playoffs last year, was 13 seconds away from, the AFC Championship, one game away from the Super Bowl, and that was without Von Miller, right? So we brought Von Miller in to be that missing piece, kind of that game changer when you really need it, fourth quarter game on the line. All that being said, yes, we're going to miss Von Miller down the stretch here. But in the first game, without him here, great performances from the defensive line. Greg Rousseau in particular, shout him out. He had 2 sacks. He had a couple batted passes. He's sound in run defense. He was getting after Mike White, Joe Flacco, whoever was in there. Groot had a great game, and it really looks like he's starting to blossom. We've seen it happen throughout this season, and the name that comes up the most, and like, who do we need to step up with Von Miller out? Most people are going to tell you it's Greg Rousseau, and I thought he did exactly that today. My guy Shaq Lawson, gave him all the praise I could last week just for how fundamental he is as a football player. How he's always in the right spot. He jumps in and adds a sack today. We saw an AJ Epinesa sack today. Ed Oliver up the middle, just causing problems. Had a couple hits on Mike White. Daquan Jones doing his thing in the middle. Recovered a fumble, key fumble. These are all the things that we're talking about, giving the offense those extra opportunities when they were struggling. Now, we did give up some chunks on the ground. Zonovan Knight has 17 carries, 71 yards, and a touchdown. And that doesn't look, like they really shut him down on paper, right? We're looking at a guy who had over 100 scrimmage yards last week. A team in the Jets that last time we played them just, 4 or 5 weeks ago, had almost 200 yards on the ground. So that the turnaround from then to now, night and day, and some of the players that we were missing in that game, obviously, Trey White's in the fold. I believe Milano missed that game, maybe Edmonds. I know Poyer was out. As we're still dealing with a ton of injuries on defense, we are getting some of our guys back, and it's a hell of a lot better of a defense when we have, Jordan Poyer in there instead of Jaquan Johnson. When we have Matt Milano in there instead of Terrell Bernard. And I think this team has, amassed a good amount of depth, and it's a team that can play through kind of an injury or two. It's when you have backups playing at, 7 of your 11 positions, whatever the number was. Hard to overcome a ton. So overall, I thought it was a good day for the defensive line, especially, considering the circumstances, playing without Von Miller. I thought we had a lot of players step up, in particular Groot, but Shaq Lawson, Epinesa also contributing, and Ed Oliver I think is going to be a key piece down the stretch here for the pressure that he's able to generate up the middle to kind of make up for the little bit of the difference in lack of talent from the edge.